Anybody? Somebody volunteer one? Just to switch me? It'll take half a second. You don't have to give me the AED. Just come. Here. Come to the other side of the patient. No, here. Okay? So when I want to do a switch, let's say right now it's in the middle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch me. A little faster. That's it. That's enough. But basically, the whole point of that is switch me the moment I need them to. The moment I've switched with her, my job gets a lot easier. I come over here. Now I have the defibrillator. Now I'm sitting with the person's airway open, and I don't really have to do much else but let her know when to stop doing compression, so the shock. Okay? So then from there, we just listen to the defibrillator. And the compressions have to be with the defibrillator. They're together, not by themselves. They're almost automatic. The moment I've actually gotten one, like I said, electric with a shock logo on it, that's going to give the electric shock. One time I had a class that instead of actually giving the electric shock, they turned off the defibrillator. So now I actually explain which one's the shock button. The shock button has a picture of a lightning bolt on it. Okay? When it's ready to give a shock, it's actually going to give me an alarm. It's going to actually, you'll see the light start blinking. That's how we know it's ready. There's a flaw in the defibrillators that'll it'll remind me that I have to get away from the patient a little bit before. But the problem with that is, stay clear of the patient. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 compression. Different types of defibrillators. The ones from MATA. The one nice thing about them is we can hook up to them with our computers in our headquarters, and so they can tell us while we're on the phone. We don't hang up the phone with MATA the entire time we're doing CPR. We stay on the phone with them. We can explain to them, okay, they can see how the compressions are looking, all that from the monitor, and from there they can advise us on how to push deeper or push a little bit faster. I'm currently doing CPR. Somebody else will be dealing with the defibrillator in this chance. Let's say I had time to get the defibrillator.
Call for help. Open pads package and apply pads to patient's bare chest. Analyzing heart rhythm. Do not touch the patient. Shock advised. Charging. Stay clear of patient. Deliver shock now. Press the orange button.
Shock! Don't touch! Clear!
Shock delivered. Begin CPR.
So I go with the defibrillator. Mostly after I hear the siren, I clear everybody from touching the patient. Push the button. Shock given. Keep going. As soon as I hear shock given, I can keep going.
Yeah.
Any other questions? The patient's currently on their side. Why do we want them on their side? A person is going to struggle choking on their tongue while they're on their side. Okay, you protect the person's airway. A lot of times after life support, the person has returned and is breathing on his own. You want to protect the person so he doesn't go back to life support because he's choking on his tongue. So you would do that. You just turn him on your side. That's it. You just protect them like this. Patient that's throwing up in the middle of life support, turn them on their side. Help them with their vomit.
Specifically, how many minutes it will be in the other side?
What do you mean?
How many minutes to return the patient in the position?
No, okay, so the only if he's throwing up in the middle of life support, it's 10 seconds. 10 seconds, clear everything. Not more than 10 seconds, and then go back. If the signs of life haven't returned. If the vomits, maybe in the aspirations in the person's mouth, is a cause because I'm pushing on the person's chest, it could also be that the person hasn't returned to consciousness. But I also make sure if the person's eyes open up after throwing up, if I see there's an actual reflex, I see oxygen, I see his chest rise, I would stop CPR at that point. That person doesn't need CPR anymore. Protect them by turning them to their side. Okay? Same thing with right now on a child and baby, I'm going to turn them on their side because that's the best way right now to preserve their airway. Okay? Still, I check with the trapeze, the squeeze on the trapeze, no giving to pain. And the compressions are, if he's a very large child, I will use 2 hands. There's nothing I can do. Some children are very, very large, and my compressions may not do anything. So if he's a larger child, no problem, use 2 hands. But because he's a smaller child and I'm a bigger individual, I will use 1 hand. Lock your arm, your elbow into place. You use 1 hand to hold your arm. Usually you do with both your knees on the ground. I like preferably to put my leg up. That's just a bad habit. What can I say? For any children, it's going to be almost identical. The hooking up of the defibrillator is going to be basically identical. And then 1 sticks on the back. And you do compressions on the sticker itself. A baby also, I can't actually check them with a trapeze check.
Yeah.
You're gonna cause harm to the baby.
They will not
You
see.
also, alright, so a thing that I also have to address is never actually put the head back. An open airway on a baby is not actually doing this or this. There's nothing I can do in terms of an airway like that, because I have parents that actually end up telling me with choking, they do stuff like this. Don't do primitive things like this. Babies can be very, very fragile.
Yeah.
The problem is in the cervical vertebrae, they're underdeveloped, and until they reach the correct size, usually comes in when they come a year and over, after they start growing, is we don't actually want to cause any trauma to their spine, okay? For an open airway on a baby, Enaim Shamayim, or eyes to the sky, basically like this. The head is basically straight. I can put something under the head, something over here, let's say something small, a towel, something like that. Keep it like this. Usually this is an open airway. I don't have to put the head back. I don't have to put the head forward. If I want to check consciousness on the baby, call him by his name, make noise. He's not answering to anything. I want to make sure if he gives the pain, just a small squeeze on the heel of his foot. Okay? He's gonna kick, he's gonna move, he's gonna cry. If he doesn't do any of those things, he's not conscious. You have to see the chest. Now, compressions on a baby are going to be with 2 fingers.
But the same minutes to check with the adult for the consciousness, 2 minutes, within 2 minutes.
The consciousness, I should start it right away. And say, and a lot of times in babies will put everything in their mouth. And so it's hard for me to judge life support on a baby as real life support, because most times it's because they were choking and then they stopped breathing, and then that's why I got to that. You do have, on the off chance, you have a sudden infant death syndrome, which happens, we don't know the medical reason in terms of everything. We really don't. Because babies will turn over or something like that inside of the crib, and then they stop breathing because their face is inside of the mattress. But it's still unsure, because a lot of times it could also be a medical reason or things like that. Sudden infant death syndrome in babies, like I said, it's very hard to find an underlying cause. Most times it's going to be from choking, okay? The baby, I check on the foot. I do the compressions 2 fingers. It's going to be exactly in the middle on the sternum, okay? When I do the compressions, it's going to be up to 4 centimeters deep. The good thing about doing it like this while I have them in my hands is if I called 101 from the beginning, I put it on speaker, I'm talking to them, I need a defibrillator, I tell them where the building is, I meet them in front of the building, the entire time I'm doing chest compressions. This is really uncomfortable, just so you know. So I actually prefer, if I'm doing it with 2 fingers like that, you can also do it like this, which is because I'm putting a lot of strain on my fingers when you do it like this. So I'm saying it could be very uncomfortable. But I meet them in front and hook them up to the defibrillator. This is great if I don't have a defibrillator. If I have a defibrillator, put them on a table, something high enough where I don't have to be touching him when I have to give him an electric shock. And the better part of having him on something of height, I get to a situation where it's a lot lighter on me. I do the compressions with both my thumbs, and it's a lot easier to do with thumbs, I'll be honest. If I'm sitting and I don't have a defibrillator, another way I could do it, while I'm waiting for Mata to show up. This way also his airway is open, I'm guarding it with my knee. But this, like I said, because I'm giving him an electric shock, it's not advised to really do it while I'm holding him or he's on my body. I have
ate sa nipple. Dapat center siya.
Kasi mapipil mo, mas madali siyang i-push. Kasi kung dito, parang yung ano, shock. Lang ako kasi bago wala na yung, di ba dati nagbibigay tayo ng bread, ngayon wala nang bread. Diba,
Okay.
kunwari lang naman.
Rating? Yes. Okay. Okay, sis.